In this video, we're going to go more in depth into how to install WordPress using FTP, or as I like to call the manual way of installing WordPress. You'll start by going to WordPress, and on the home page, you'll see a button that says Download WordPress. You'll click that, and you'll be taken to the download page where you can download WordPress to your computer. Now, chances are, if you've done this before, then you've already gotten the zip file, but you probably didn't know what to do with it. So I've gone ahead and unzipped the zip file, and you can see it was right here, and I unzipped it here. And when we look at it, it's just a bunch of files and folders. Now, we've talked about this in previous videos, so I won't go too far into this, but now we need to know what to do with this, with these files and folders. So backing up one step, the way that I always suggest that people install WordPress is to go to your hosting provider and look for a WordPress installer app. Here's SiteGrounds right here. They use Softaculous, and it's fairly straightforward. You just click install, they ask you which domain you want to install it on, and you can name it, give it a username and password, and click install. And then within minutes, you'll be prompted to go to your admin page where you can log in and you're ready to go. So we won't go through that in this video because we've done that in a past video. In this video, we're going to go back to our control panel here. All right, so we're going to use FTP to manually install WordPress in case you ever have to do this. So we're going to start by, first you need to make sure you know what your FTP login information is. So if you're on your hosting account control panel, mine is cPanel, and if we look for FTP, and you'll see all of the FTP options are down here. You can click FTP accounts, and you'll see that we can create one, or we have a few down here. You'll want to get your login credentials from here, and you can click Configure FTP Client, and it'll give you your username, and you won't have to worry about the server, but it'll give you the port as well. If you don't know your password, you can click Change Password and go ahead and change it there. What you'll do then is download FileZilla. Oops. And this is a free FTP solution, obviously. And you'll click to download it, and within a couple of minutes, you'll be ready to go. And this is what FileZilla looks like. Now what you'll do here, now I've already logged in, but for your host, you'll put in your main domain, the domain you had when you purchased your hosting account. The username is what we just looked at. You can find that under FTP accounts in your hosting control panel. And then the password is the one that you either had or the one you reset. And then port would be the number, which in our case was 21. So then you'll click connect, and this should pop up. Now down here, this is what my file manager looks like. These are the files on my hosting account. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my subdomain so that I will have a folder to put the WordPress files in. So I'm going to go back to my hosting provider, my hosting account, and I'm going to look for add-on domains or subdomains. If you haven't, in this case, I'm going to use subdomains, but if you were adding a domain, which in most cases you would be, most cases you wouldn't be adding a subdomain, you would be maybe adding a new domain that you just purchased or whatever to your account. So, but I'm going to use subdomain, and I'll just put demo install And this gives me the folder that I'll need to navigate to in my FTP account when I move WordPress over into it or install WordPress into it. And so I'll just click create. And it'll take a couple of minutes, but once it's ready, you'll see that it's successful. And we can scroll down and see that we have demoinstall.gazelle-ish.com. So now let's go back to our home, our cPanel home. And if we go back into FileZilla and click the refresh button, go into public HTML, and we see demo install is here. So what we will do here is we'll double click into it, and this is my desktop. So this is over here on the left hand side is where my WordPress files are. And basically what an FTP client does, or FTP solution does, is it allows you to kind of see this is your hosting account and this is your computer, and it lets you transfer back and forth. So what I'm going to do here is I've clicked my WordPress folder, and right here I just want to select all of these files that are in this WordPress folder. And then I just click and drag. Let's go back into our cPanel or our hosting control panel. If you're using Plesk, that's fine as well. We'll go back into here and now we need to add a user and a database. And that may not make sense to you, but just stick with me. So we'll look for MySQL databases and we'll click that. And here you want to just create a new database, and it can be anything. You see there are most of other WordPress installs just say WP something. In this case, I've gone ahead and created a database, and I created WP demo install just for example purposes, obviously. But normally you would just type it right here, click create database, and it's instantly there. Then you want to scroll down and you want to add a user. So in this case, I went ahead and added a user, called it dim user, but you would just put your username, make up a password, and create a user. Now after the user is created, you would want to add the user to a database. And so I went ahead and did this already, but you would just select your user, then select your database, and then click add. You would then be prompted to select privileges, and you would just want to select all privileges, and you'd be done. So now let's check on FileZilla, and we can see it's still transferring. So this is going to take a while. You can see how many queued files you have left and how many successful files you've already transferred. Now you can already see that going the FTP route is much slower. But if you're doing a local install or something like that, then it's good to know how to do this. And obviously, local installs you wouldn't use FTP, but it's nice to know how to actually install WordPress yourself if you ever had to. Because you will have that situation come up at some point or another if you use WordPress for an extended period of time. So we're almost there, but we want to make sure that we have so dim user was our user, and then WP demo install was our database. Now we're going to need that in just a minute. All right, and now we're done. So we can see over here on the right-hand side that in the demo install folder, we have all of our WordPress files. Now we want to go back into we want to actually go to our site. So let's go to demo install. And this is the WordPress setup, and it does this automatically. So you would pick your language, and then it tells you want to make sure you have your database name, your username, your password, and your host. Now, most of the time, your host is going to be localhost. And I'm just going to copy and paste. Username is, that was the username I had. And click submit. And just like that, you can see we're ready to go. So we'll just run the install. And now we'll tell WordPress what we want to name our site. So we'll call this demo install. Username will be demo install. We'll go ahead and hide this. You can change this password to whatever you want. And then just do your email. And you can go ahead and select whether you want search engines to index the site or not. So if it's a demo site like this, or if it's some other site that you're just testing, then you want to go ahead and discourage search engines from indexing it. Now let's install it. And it's ready for us to log in. So we'll click log in and we're good to go. And we're in. Now, you can see that that was nowhere near as easy as just using a WordPress application or installer application, which is why I definitely recommend you go this route, because FTP is just not fun. I mean, for a beginner or for anyone who's not a web developer for a living, it's not a lot of fun to do that. It's much easier to just click this, click install, and it walks you through the same steps that we just went through, just without all the file transfer and database creation and user creation. So, hope that was helpful. In the next videos, we're going to learn how to customize your theme and set your site up for SEO and marketing success.